This is Mvita FM and Mvita Friday, na tunazidi kuingia katika the weekend. Na mgeni wangu finally amepata parking na ameweza kuingia studioni. Karibu sana. Na leo tunaendelea na masuala yetu ya go greening hapa Mvita FM. Na kabla hatujasonga sana, sijui tulifika wapi na greening ya kwanza. Habari yako?
Salama.
Hatujaonana mwaka huu, sio? Kwa hiyo tusalimiane.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Na mwezi uko almost ukamilika.
Lakini bado tuko January.
Yes. Habari yako? Habari ya mwaka huu mpya?
Sasa mimi niko salama sana.
Ndio.
Na warm greetings and happy new year to our listeners. Yes. Sio
go green kwanza tumefika wapi? Sababu kuna sama tulikuwa tumefika. Sijui unaweza kusema umeachieve yepi kwa mpango wetu wa go greening.
Okay.
So far.
Yeah, asante sana and welcome so much our listeners to our day's talk on go greening. And we have a very nice topic for you today. But just to recap what we have done so far.
Yes.
We had to ask ourselves what greening is, and we unpacked greening. Mm-hmm. And we realized that many people take it that probably greening is planting trees. And we said that though we plant trees, we should go beyond there and we should plant trees with understanding that when our earth, the ground is covered with green, the green plants normally consumes carbon dioxide. Mm-hmm. And that carbon dioxide is important for the manufacture of food for all the plants, whether it is grass, whether it is trees and all that. And therefore having vegetation on our planet Earth, that means that there is a lot of consumption of the carbon dioxide that is in the air that causes global warming. And therefore when we reduce global warming by ensuring that carbon within the carbon dioxide has been consumed, then with that we reduce the the global warming. Mm-hmm. And this is what is causing climate change. And we also realize that other than the planting of trees, then we should also reduce the emission of various gases in the air and the carbon also. And much of that goes into the air in form of carbon is through burning, when we do burning. And therefore we should reduce that. And at the same time we should also ensure that our soil is fertile enough to have vegetation. When we destroy the soil, maybe like now with poor dumping of plastics and all that, then it means there will be no vegetation, no consumption of the carbon dioxide and all that. And we need to keep our earth healthy for the sake of the people who are living today and also tomorrow. So we have lineups of programs. One is sensitization, like what we are doing, so that people can know what greening is, and therefore bring more vegetation. And we are talking about not just planting but growing, ensuring that the trees are growing, not just planting and leaving them, but watering them until they grow. And as they grow, that is when now the leaves will now take up that carbon dioxide that we are talking about, and many other things. And we will continue. Therefore you're most welcome to also our today's talk.
Yes, asante sana. And today tunaangazia waste management.
Yes.
Waste, what is waste?
Thank you so much, Mr. Singi. Yes, that is one thing that we will talk about and we'll be talking about, because we want to know and at the same time we want to take action on waste. When we talk about waste, Mr. Singi, mm-hmm. I know we've just come from December, and December we had so many occasions, weddings, parties, and all that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And come together, nyumbani.
Yes, and at the beginning of every function,
yes,
kuna pabwa sana. The places are normally very nice looking, mm-hmm. such that now they are so welcoming. But at the end of the event, when you look at the end of the event, when everybody has gone home, how does that place look? Very messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
With heaps with the leftovers, things scattered all over and all that. Also, when you go to the market in the morning right now, tomatoes zimepakiwa vizuri, doma zimekuwa arranged mahali pazuri, kila kitu, even from far, you can tell that place is where I will get bananas. That is because they are properly arranged. But in the evening, how does it look? Heaps and heaps of waste. And therefore, we are looking at waste. And of course, we find waste in marketplaces. We find waste even in our institutions. We find waste in our industries. Waste is all over. As long as they are human beings somewhere, what they are not using is then normally left as waste. So we are today talking about that waste, which is actually our contribution. And by the way, when we see waste, it means that we have something such that we've already consumed enough, and then whatever we are leaving is what we are calling waste. So we can actually say waste is leftover of wealth, because in the first place we have. If we didn't have, then it means that we would not have had waste. And at the same time, now that waste could actually be also of wealth of somebody else to somebody else. Therefore, what we are terming waste may not really be termed or defined as waste. It could be maybe wealth, to somebody else. And that is how we are looking at it. That is how we can convert that which you do not need so that it can benefit something else or even somebody else. And at the same time, if we don't do that, it can also cost that person who is wealthy her or his health. If we don't manage our waste, then it means that it may cost us our health. And therefore, today we want to look at waste, and we want to look at how we can manage that waste, and we want to see how we can also minimize waste. So that is actually what we'll be looking at today.
Okay. Umesema waste might be wealth.
Correct.
Na kwa hiyo easy waste tunaweza kuzipanga in categories or something of the sort.
Yes. When you look at waste generally, first of all, we have said waste is from our homestead, our institutions, offices, marketplaces, industries, recreation areas, hospitals and all that. Therefore, when you talk of waste, we can classify waste first of all from the origin. It can be domestic waste if it is coming maybe from our homestead, whatever we have in our kitchen, the peels, from potatoes ukipeel, and then ukimaliza kukula na kuna bones abazo umeacha kwa sababu you not consume bones, that would be waste. Sawa. At the same time, when you have heaped food in a child's plate, and then it's like he's already full, that is thrown away, as waste, therefore there is domestic waste. There is also industry waste, whereby maybe we talk of maybe with an industry that, for example, it is a steel milling industry. Then you'll have leftovers, cuttings of metals and all that, or even plastics. In agriculture, we also have, waste. We have also waste from the medical institutions and all that. At the same time, we can classify according to the nature. There is the solid waste, and it's good to know, this classification, because it will actually determine it, or it will be the basis of how we'll manage that waste. There is liquid waste, and also there is gaseous waste. Yeah? We also classify waste in terms of hazard level. There is that waste that is hazardous, like now, for example, chemicals, medical waste and all that. And there is also non-hazardous, like, organic, paper and all that. That one is not, hazardous. And therefore, getting to know that classification as you have put it is very, very much important, because now it will help us know how to dispose that. When you talk about hazardous and non-hazardous, you cannot just, go managing it, the same way. Yeah, because now, if you don't really take care now, it can also fight back, yeah? Then, we also have the biodegradable and the non-biodegradable. Therefore, we can classify according to biodegradability. There are those foods that, there is that waste, that can be composed. That, like now, the food waste, the paper waste. However, on the other hand, something like plastics, like metals and all that, they cannot be composed immediately. And therefore, with that, you need to know that kind of classification, so that when you're also now managing that, it will give the basis means or the method in which now you will manage that. Therefore, I can actually concur with you. We have classifications, as I've mentioned, and they make the basis of how we will manage that waste.
Okay, now tumejua the classification ya hizi waste. How will we be able to manage them?
Now we are talking about waste management, and I want to say that waste management first is the process of correcting the waste. Correcting the waste, because for you now to have the waste where, let's say, like now we have talked about marketplaces, a public institution and so on, the creation areas. Therefore, part and the first step in waste management is correcting. You correct that waste. Then after that, transporting to a specific place, and then after that now processing, recycling or disposing of that waste in a very safe and sustainable manner. Therefore, that process whereby you are correcting, like now we are in a city called Mombasa, and I think you have seen trucks almost every other morning going around collecting that waste. But we cannot say there is proper management of waste, and that is the reason why we have to discuss these things together, because we are also part of the Mombasa County. We are community in Mombasa. Correcting and going to dump, that is not waste management. We should actually go beyond there. When we have corrected, are we correcting it every other waste and putting in a truck and dumping somewhere? Do we mind what that waste can do, the advantages and the disadvantages of doing that? So, because now when you have put them together without this kind of category or even minding what would happen to that waste, then that is not actually proper management. And that is the reason why we have this topic today. Yes, we see them transport, therefore they correct, they transport and they dump, and that is that is all. But here we have not processed, we have not done segregation of that waste. We have not first of all known which is biodegradable, which is non-biodegradable. We have not also recycled, we have not reused, we have not done anything. We have not got the wealth that is in the waste. You see, of which now, by the way, in the process of even doing that, trying to get the wealth in that, we actually create jobs. And because we are talking about going greening, then go greening, we are looking at this as even source of jobs. That when we are doing waste management, there are a lot of jobs that can be created from that. Because look at it this way: those who help in correcting the waste, like now the many young people and the men and women who sweep our streets, those ones are helping in correcting, and also the loaders, somehow they have something to do. By the end of the day, they have food on their table. But now when it is dumped, suppose we have also other people who are doing the sorting, then it means 2, 3, 4, 10 youth every day are also getting something, and with the name of helping manage that waste. Then after sorting, processing, looking at what can be reused, what can be composted, maybe to make fertilizer, what can be recycled to have maybe more other maybe plastic useful things, and so on. So in the process, you realize that coming up maybe with an industry will then create many more jobs. Therefore, the process of waste management itself, I can also say it is actually a process of even creating jobs.
Yes.
So we should not look at waste management as a burden, but it should actually be something that is quite profitable in the society, and that is why we are looking at this topic today.
Yes, umesema vijana they can get some jobs and all that. Lakini is it kazi ya vijana, kazi ya wamama, kazi ya wababa, kazi ya nani? Ni nani anafaa ku manage waste?
We have said this, Mr. Singh.
Yes.
If you look at waste is from everywhere.
Yeah.
It is from the house. Meaning that in the homestead, the people who are there should be responsible. Yeah?
And
by the way, when we talk about waste and the many ways we can manage waste, one of them is reducing waste. Reducing waste. There is also reusing waste. There is recycling. Therefore, in the homestead, the members of that can be managers of waste. That is, they can be responsible on waste management through reduction of waste. Huyu mtoto kwa nini umpatie sahani ikiwa imejaa ikiwa anaweza kula nusu and then nusu iwe wasted? We can reduce the portions so that we will not waste. Stima ikiwa tuna washa, throughout, even the day we don't even bother switching off. We are wasting energy.
Fan is on.
Yes. We are wasting energy. Who is responsible? You'll not call the Mombasa County government to come and switch off, lights in your house. To come and put off, the fans. To put out, the tap. To repair the tap that is leaking. You will not call them. It is you. Therefore, everybody in that house has the responsibility of managing waste by reducing waste. So with that, instead of now using 1,000 shillings to pay for the token, for a whole month, it'll ultimately be reduced maybe to 500 if everybody takes responsibility. If everybody takes responsibility of reducing waste in the homestead. Now, of course, whatever other little waste that is in that homestead, we can think of now how to manage it. For example, the plastic, mmekunywa juice, mmekunywa soda, mmekunywa whatever, don't just go and throw it anyhow. Therefore, they should know, members of that homestead should know that ukiweka kwa shamba anyhow, that plastic will reduce the the fertility of the soil. Water will not percolate in the soil. Therefore, the texture of the soil will also be affected, and therefore with that they cannot just go dumping in, meaning that they should have, or they should take it as responsibility also to know how to manage this waste from the household. We work in the office. I work in the office. There is the paper, there is the e-waste and so on. So I'm responsible because that waste is actually coming, from my office. So those who are in the marketplace, they have responsibility of gathering, the kind of waste, they have, and getting also to know even what can we do with this waste. Yeah? So policy makers, those people in the office, talking about, policy. They need also to know, and at the same time, even on enforcement, of the law concerning, waste management. Therefore, I would actually answer your question and say the responsibility of waste management is for all of us. All of us have a role to play in waste management, and that is the reason why we actually need to know. Even the little children, if you look at Mombasa some time back, I think in some institutions they were given some beans, and the children were curious to know, and those beans were coded. They were curious to know why this kind of a bean, a green one and a blue one and a yellow one and so on. You see, now through that you educate children about the various kinds of waste and how to segregate waste. Yeah, so even in our school, we have a responsibility. Not just in our homes, but even in the schools, to educate these children. They are the future leaders, and they also participate in they contribute also to the waste, and they should also know that they are part of responsibility of managing waste. Therefore, it is for all of us, and therefore all of us should know this.
Okay. Nafikiri sometime tukienda kwa sherehe, tukienda kwa these big hotels where they have this kamtindo of self service, and you find that self service na unabakisha chakula kwa sahani. Imagine umejiwekea wewe.
That is true. And yet why it is self service is because unaweza enda ukule kidogo. Ikiwa hujashiba, you have the freedom to go again and again, even if it is 5 times. Nobody will ever ask you. Instead of putting a whole plate, and then it's like then you leave half of it because now the stomach is not even used to that kind of a place. We have this tendency of when you are in a new place, and it's like the food that is being served is a little bit new to you.
Yeah.
At least you want to have a taste of everything. And unfortunately, in those big hotels, they have variety, such that now when you get maybe to one point, you are seeing something that is nice and new to you. Therefore, you serve. Then you serve yourself. Then immediately after that, you see something else. Then you see something else, and unfortunately, it is a bit difficult now to go back and probably reduce. Because now how we reduce, to those containers. I think what we should do in hotels, and I'm not in hospitality, but I think they should also educate people on how to eat, how to serve themselves, such that it's not just a matter of placing so much and different kinds of food on the table, but how do we behave? The etiquette, the table etiquette. Because some of us don't have that kind of information, such that now you will go and then probably the first dish that you'll have probably is meat. Then after that there is chicken, and it is long since you took chicken, and therefore you'll serve it without remembering that ahead there is also something else that is also very nice. So whatever you're actually saying is true, and we end up wasting. But now after that wastage, what next? That is what we are saying.
Tunaendelea na mazungumzo, na swala ambalo ningependa tujadili ni how we can manage this waste ambayo tayari nafikiri tumetoka kwa kitengo cha collect. Now ni ku manage the waste ambayo tayari tumeweza kuiokota pale.
When we find waste somewhere, somebody has created that waste. And what we have said is that what is waste to you is probably not wasted to another person. It can actually be worth, to somebody else. And at the same time, what is waste to you, if you don't manage it properly, then it can actually cost you your health. And therefore, we must know what to do with waste. We must know how to manage waste. Now, in management of waste, we always first of all talk of 3 R's of waste management. 3 R's, and we are talking about 3 R's because that is very easy, to remember. Whereby the first R is to reduce. Buy only what you need. You don't have to have so many shoes every time you go to do purchases. You do impulse purchase, and then after some time, because of maybe even the quality of shoes that you're buying, they are worn out. By just storing, and you can no longer now put them on. Why do that? Why buy a lot of veggies and probably don't have proper storage facility, and then they get rotten? Just buy that which you can use, so that now you can reduce waste. At the same time, avoid single-use plastics. There are those plastics that probably when you buy you cannot use it again, and therefore with that, if you have to have plastic, have something that even after that you'll use again. Through that, you are reducing waste. The first R. Then the second R, I've said that we first of all concentrate on the 3 R's, then we can go to other things. Then if you cannot reduce, then reuse. And therefore, if you look at even the containers, if you can buy a container or food that is packed, or things that are packed in containers that are usable, it would be better than a container that cannot be used. So if it's a metallic container, you may not use it again. After now you clear whatever the content that is in that. But some plastics, it is actually easy to use. You can reuse it for storing something else, for carrying water, and such like things. At the same time, when it comes to the reuse, if like now women buy quite a number of dresses after every other new fashion or new style is out, then it's like the other one is left. So instead of leaving it for 1 or 2 years and then it starts getting worn out, why don't you give somebody else to use? That is also part of reuse. Yeah. So donate those clothes. At the same time, do some repairs. Yeah. Instead of now dumping something at because it is worn out somewhere and it just requires sewing, then why don't you do repairs? So in the reusing, we are looking at repurposable containers, and we are talking about donating clothes to somebody else, or even repairing even items. Yeah. Then the recycling is the third R, whereby recycling, for example, plants and plastics and metals and papers and all that, we can recycle some of these things and then we get something else. For example, the many plastics we dump, it can be recycled and probably make a share. We have plastic shares, all other plastic things. Yeah, metals the same. I think you've ever seen of people collecting every other metal, even sufuria, when you leave it outside your house, as scrap metals. Yeah, there are those who have the skills of even recycling metals and coming up with something that is new. And therefore, let's not just throw it anyhow and anywhere. We can do recycling for that. Even for paper, tissue paper that we use every day, we get it from recycling paper. Therefore, we don't have to throw away paper or even burn paper. Why? And yet we can get even tissue paper from there. So let's recycle. So with that, we are talking about 3 R's, but that is not the only way of waste management. We have composition, such that now whatever foods we get, we can even now have it somewhere, probably in a certain pit, and then after that, from there we get fertilizer that we can use now in our homes. Organic fertilizer, we can use it in our farms, to grow crops and all that. Then also, waste management also deals with the proper disposal. Proper disposal is, for example, we have different kinds of, as we had said, classification or different kinds of waste. Yes. So part of waste management is being in a position to segregate that waste, so that, and at the same time to avoid illegal dumping, dumping in the sea, dumping in the water and all that. Yeah, right. You might find some industry directing the waste probably to the sea because it will flow. No, that is actually illegal dumping. At the same time, innovations is part of waste management, whereby we can have waste to energy projects. We can have something like biogas. For example, waste, human waste can be cleaned, and out of that we can get energy that can be used even in cooking. When you have animal waste, we can get biogas, which you can use for cooking and all that. So with this kind of technology or innovations, we can still now turn whatever we have, we call waste, into wealth. Yeah. So with that, those are some of the things that we can do, and I think everybody, the people that we said, because we said everybody should be responsible, all of us can do either 2 or 3 or all of these things that we can term as how we can manage our waste. Therefore, those are some of the things we can do to actually manage waste.
Na faida zake za kumanage the waste,
I think there are quite a number of benefits of waste management. One, to protect our health. My health, somebody's health, the public health. When you just dump things anyhow and all that, it will cost us our health. At the same time, to conserve resources, like now we are talking about reducing and all that, so you are able to use little, and probably that money can be used elsewhere. We also reduce pollution when we do waste, because now when you actually go burning instead of recycling, what you're doing is that you're just increasing the amount of carbon in the air. That is pollution, and therefore when you do waste management, it will reduce pollution. At the same time, we will support climate action. Yeah. At the same time, let's say like now here in Mombasa, Here in Mombasa is a tourism kind of destination, tourist destination. And therefore, when our environment is attractive, then we'll have very good reputation, and therefore even income, from tourism will of course go up. Therefore, that is one importance, attracting, tourism, and at the same time, reducing economic loss, such that now many things that we dump and they can be recycled, then that will mean making more money. Therefore, with that is another importance of waste management.
Yes, of course, kuna challenges ambazo tunaweza kupitia or ziko when we are managing this waste. What are some of the challenges ambazo we are likely to face?
Okay. When you talk about doing almost whatever we do, you'll always find a challenge or one. And it is good to think about them, because from there we have to think of how can we mitigate or how can we counter, those challenges. And therefore, awareness of even some of the challenges that we have, or brainstorming on the challenges that we have, is important. And therefore, to me, that question is very important. And because we are talking to people around, Mombasa, we should think of, what are some of the challenges within our city, Mombasa, within Kenya coasts, and of course beyond. Now, one, we need to realize that we have rapid urbanization and population growth in Mombasa. We are increasing day by day, and that is the reason why even there is emerging of some, let me call them in quote, some slums allowed, because the city cannot accommodate everybody. So now with that, the more the people, the more the waste, the more the waste. Therefore, the rising population actually is a challenge, because we have more waste, and therefore we need now add more services. We have now to render more waste correction, services, and therefore with that, we may not sometimes reach all the areas. So somehow, because of the rising population, you realize that there is more waste, and could be it may not match, the solutions that we had, some time back, and therefore that can be a challenge, that correction, because of the rising population. And at the same time, inadequate infrastructure. Almost everybody is crying, hakuna pesa. And at the same time now, ikiwa hakuna pesa, ikiwa tulikuwa na lori moja ama mbili ya correct, garbage, probably last year, and the population has grown, then we cannot say that the two lorries probably we have are still enough, and therefore we have actually limited infrastructure. At the same time, specifically in Mombasa, we have also said that we lack modern recycling plant and composting facilities. I think what we do is that here, much of what is collected here is taken to a place called Makirunge. And we know this. It is not something that we can hide. It goes there. But in that place, have you seen an industry there?
No.
Have you seen maybe a recycling plant there?
No.
Have you seen probably facility to compost that and manufacture fertilizer, and then we start now selling fertilizer to the farmers here? No. So that is actually a challenge. Inadequate infrastructure to transfer, and also to manage that waste in terms of maybe recycling, composting, and all that. Then the pollution of waterways is another one, such that if you just probably go to town, even if it's along Biashara Street and other places, you'll always find some dirty water oozing from, and at the same time, even wherever we are living, not specifically here, in Kenya, because we have to be very careful because of the population and the students here. But once in a while, as you go around, you'll always find, some polluted waterways and also environment. At the same time, the health risks, this is as a result of uncorrected waste, and therefore they attract pests like rats, mosquitoes and all that, that cause now malaria and others. At the same time, weak enforcement and policy gaps. I don't know whether you have heard of a policy, whether we have been called at some place to discuss about environmental policy here in this place, whether even probably that has been brought to the education institutions so that we can be educated on that and then transfer the same knowledge to our homes, whether it is at basic school level or even tertiary and all that. Have you heard of such? No. So when it comes to that, of course that would lead even to weak enforcement, and therefore nobody cares. All that we know is that after all tutaweka magunia yetu ya ushafu pale and itakuwa corrected and all that. But sensitization and creation of awareness is actually a gap. At the same time, financial and institutional constraints. For us to manage actually waste, we need finances, and therefore with that we may not buy those trucks, we may not buy the bins, we may not even clear waste when we have when we don't have money. Therefore money is actually a problem. Those are some of the challenges that we have, and they cut across our homes, marketplaces, the town, education institutions and all that. So with that, if you have a primary school of about 1,000 kids, and could be there is no money, they are paying because the education is free, where will this principal get about 10 or 20 bins, and probably bins that can have segregation of waste and all that? Where will she get it from? So financial constraints is also actually a challenge to waste management. Yes.
What are the solutions to those challenges?
When it comes to waste management, we are not only interested with looking at the challenges and just sitting down and talk about the challenges and all that. And therefore, actually thinking about the solution is something that is important. One, we should strengthen infrastructure. We should have it, as a priority. This is because we are talking about health. And when you talk about health, when we get sick, when there is an outbreak of diseases, it will cost us more. So with that, have infrastructure in place. At the same time, community engagement and awareness. Some of these things will not cost us much. For example, I'm very sure that if, let's say, for example, people are listening, now, through this talk, we may reach hundreds and thousands of people. We are creating awareness. Somebody else which is on another radio, then other people also get the same. So when we create awareness, and then everybody get engaged, the community get engaged. And by the way, we can even have probably like now an environmental day, Mombasa Environmental Day, whereby on that day we'll correct litter in the compound, we'll now discuss about our health, we'll discuss about waste and so on. That way everybody will know. Creation of awareness, it can even be done even in schools. We can have even youth, like now we can talk about Kenya Coast, going to every other talking about waste management and all that, and other people in the community. So with that, community engagement and awareness is something that is very much important, of course, through the education campaigns, through youth initiatives and so on, but everybody being involved there. And then we can have policies and enforcement. There are some countries whereby you cannot just drop, a piece of paper or waste probably on the ground. But of course, they have also provided a solution for that. They have provided dustbins, and therefore, if you are found dropping, you are fined. And I think some time back there was such that we should not even be dumping, such that when you are found dumping, you are fined for that. And there are also some other towns whereby when you found dumping, then with that you are also given probably the punishment to correct, others other than what you have dropped down. So if we would have enforcement of the law about dumping, I think things would be better. And by the way, by doing so, we are even making our places clean and healthier to live in. Sawa, very attractive, to others, and everybody would wish actually to live in a clean environment. So with that, policy and enforcement of the same, I think, is very much important. And to do this, we can have actually public-private partnership, through collaboration with the NGOs and the businessmen. We can have that. We can have sustainable waste solutions. Then innovation and technology is another way, of doing that. Like now, waste to energy projects. For example, getting electricity, from getting electrical energy, from the solar and so on. So that way, we reduce waste. Then at the same time, digital tracking, using apps to monitor correction and also disposal. That is something that we can do. Therefore, the technology can also bring in solutions to some of the challenges that we have. At the same time, beach cleanups. Days, just to clean up, the beaches, we can have marine protection, and therefore we can generally say tourism and also environmental protection can be a solution to some of these challenges. And then at the same time, financing and partnerships. We should prioritize some of these things such that now in our budgets, we also set aside, some funds, for that. We can have donor, support, and therefore writing of the proposals, whether it is an institution doing that or even maybe the county doing that, that one now can also now bridge that gap of lack of finances. And by doing so, or even asking support even in kind, you don't have to necessarily be given money, but there are some organizations that can actually support that. Maybe beans, putting up of the facilities, for recycling and all that. That is possible. So I think, to me, those are some of the solutions to some of those challenges. And I would also wish to say that as Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, we are a national polytechnic with mandate to develop curriculum, at the same time to train and assess. And in waste management, we stand a good opportunity of helping people to know through developing the curriculum. But development of the curriculum, we do it in collaboration with the industry. And therefore, we can work closely with, like now, the county government, now to think about how we will manage waste in Mombasa. And therefore, I would really call upon the county government to embrace this opportunity. We sit down, we think of even how we can recycle that, like now the recycling of plants, having recycling plants. We endowed with many departments here that can do so much in the process of putting up such kind of a plant. For example, the knowledge and the skills of recycling, that one can be done well in the applied science department. And when you talk about, like now, mechanical department where we will have the welding and so on, building and civil engineering where they can put up, through the masonry work and even the carpentry work and so on. So with this Kenya Coast National Polytechnic being in the heart of Mombasa, it is such a great opportunity to Mombasa in waste management, both in developing the curriculum, sensitizing the community, coming up even with the policies. You can sit down and even develop policies together, and at the same time coming up with those plans whereby we will recycle the wastes and do the composition of the compositing of the waste, and from there convert it to fertilizers, and then the farmers will do that. And we are also doing we also train agriculture here, and therefore we can even help people to know how to make good use of the waste even in their houses, even to do the kitchen gardening and other things. And therefore with that, as Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, we are calling upon everybody to come and even know what we do here, to come and see what we do here, and make good use of us now that we are here. Yes, and therefore we are here also not as a waste, but source of wealth to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
tukimalizia 2026 in terms of Go Greening, what are the plans?
Now we have very many plans. Like now, Kenya Coast National Polytechnic being a training institution, we are looking at our curriculum, and we are saying this: our product, if we would term this one as an industry, our product is human capital. Our product is workers. So we want workers who are greened. We want workers who, when they go to the industry, will be an asset instead of a liability to the industry. Will be there to do conservation. Will be there to use small scale instead of large scale and to minimize wastage. And therefore, one thing that we are doing is that we are integrating greening in our curriculum so that we can prepare these workers well to be workers who are greened. We are also coming up with green skills, like now that idea of recycling, the idea of coming up with people who can install solar and such like things. So with that, we will develop and will continue, and we have already developed and will continue developing curriculum that will offer green skills. So at the same time, we are still continuing with creation of awareness. I think last year we talked about unpacking greening. Today we are talking about waste management, and we have many more topics that we need to know. At some point, maybe even we may go out to sensitize even the children about greening. So, and at the same time, we are still planting trees and taking care of them so that they can grow. At the same time, we are ensuring that charity starts here, such that when it comes to the wastage, we are putting up, materials to create awareness about minimizing whatever we are using, reducing, and conservation. So, and they are all over. If it is maybe switching off the lights, after use, such like a thing, and putting off the tap. So with that, we are doing so much, and we will continue. Today was on waste management, and we'll have many more topics that will help us to be greened. And therefore, I would also conclude by saying that waste is part of our daily lives, but how we handle it determines the health of our communities, the beauty of our environment, and the sustainability of our future. Let us manage waste. Thank you so much. Go green with us. Thank you, and let's meet again on Friday.